education and his thoughtful contributions to this board left a lasting impact on our schools and our community. We are deeply grateful for the time he gave, the wisdom he shared, the difference he made. In his memory, we ask that you keep Donna and his family in your prayers. Please join us in a moment of silence honoring Bob. Thank you. Bob's legacy will continue to inspire us as we work to fulfill the mission he so passionately believed in, ensuring a bright future for every student in our district. We're going to draft the following resolution that the board will vote on. Whereas Bob Skubal faithfully served as a member of the Tomahawk School Board, dedicating his time, energy, and talents to the betterment of education in our community, and whereas his thoughtful leadership, integrity, and unwavering commitment to students have had a lasting positive impact on our schools, and whereas Bob was a respected colleague, mentor, and friend to many, always approaching his role with kindness, respect, and a deep sense of responsibility, now therefore be it resolved, the Tomahawk School Board honors the life and service of Bob Skubal and expresses its profound gratitude for his contributions to the school district of Tomahawk and the community. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Bob's family as a token of our respect and appreciation. Adopted this 14th day of January 2025 by the school board. So I entertain a motion to adopt the following resolution.
I so move, Swente.
Second?
Second, Trish.
Thank you. Motion is second to adopt the resolution as read. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you all. Take care, Bob. Okay. District Administrator's Report, Wendell?
Okay. So I've got 4 things on the docket here tonight just to share with you. The first one is just a referendum update. Some of the work that currently is happening. So 3 main target groups that we're looking at getting out and getting information to. First and foremost is staff. I've been hitting the monthly staff meetings, providing information to them on where we're at in the process, why we need it, the talking points that will be going to the public, so on and so forth. Providing the opportunity for any staff member, if they want to learn more about the referendum, ways they can help, ways they can get involved. That opportunity is out there for them. And then also, I'll be supplying talking points as more questions come up and information gets out there on how do I answer questions, who do I direct people to if I don't know the answer, the importance of not trying to answer if you don't know the answer, things like that. So we'll continue to get as much information as possible to the people within our building. I will be meeting with the support staff group, Arlen's custodians, and that group next Monday as well to try to make sure that they understand some of the main points of this as well. Community, second group, in the process of scheduling with some of our stakeholder groups that we met with last time, getting a few things on the list, have a ways to go yet with just pinning down dates. We did decide on some dates for the community input sessions. I provided you a sheet you should have had laying in front of your spot that looks like this. This flyer will go out on social media. The town of Harrison actually was very open in using their social media as well to help us promote some things. So it'll go out on theirs as well. So these dates will be the community input sessions. You'll notice one of them is February 13th, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is our showcase date. It also coincides with our winter or spring parent-teacher conferences. So hopefully we can connect with a few more families that way as well. I was able to set the meeting with the Realtors Association. I talked with Jackie Leonard, so we'll be meeting with them on February 5th. And then I'm just waiting for a few more folks to get back to us. Last night, Ron and I were at the town of Bradley, gave a presentation there, and then Harrison afterwards. So we've hit 2 townships now, and we'll continue that next month as well. We'll probably have to divide up and take send different people to townships because we won't be able to, most of them are gonna be on the same nights at the same time. So I'll be in touch with some communication on that. And then some media outlet pieces. Obviously JJQ has been a great partner in helping us get information out and sharing things. I'll be on the radio tomorrow. I always include one component of what we talk about is referendum based. WXPR, if you didn't catch it, did a really good job with an interview promoting the information that was provided to them. On our referendum, WAOW also took sound bites from that and put a story together, and then we will be doing a story with WJFW in the near future as well. I just have to get that one scheduled. Any question on any of the referendum stuff at this point? Progress or where we're at?
How's the turnout in Tony when you go?
Harrison had probably, I would say, 8 to 10 people there. I don't know, Bradley had 6 maybe?
Yeah,
7.
6 or 7 maybe.
So
About what you would expect.
yeah, we did ask them. I know a lot of people, at least in Harrison, read the minutes when they're posted. So we did ask that our community input sessions are posted, as well as some of the other pieces, just that we have the referendum, the date to vote on it, that gets posted in their minutes, and they seem receptive to that. So that's a positive, piece to get out there. So. All right. Second thing I want to talk a little bit about. Earlier this fall, I attended the Wisconsin Rural Schools Alliance conference, and I sat through a session on artificial intelligence, which I always try to do because that's obviously an up-and-coming thing and something that I feel like all of us in this room, probably in the admin side of things, we don't know enough about. Even though some may know more than others, we still feel behind the curve on that. So one of the interesting things that was put on by CISA 5, a couple of representatives from CISA 5, and afterwards I had approached them talking about one of the tools that they were referencing in their session, and it was called Khanmigo. And Khanmigo, if you remember Khan Academy, Saul Khan, this was they just did a 60 minutes piece on Khanmigo, which I can share the link for you if you want to learn more about it. But the CISA 5 folks were granted a opportunity to participate in in basically a consortium trial run of Khanmigo. It's not released to the public yet, and it won't be, they say, for probably 2 or 3 years as they perfect things. But one of the neat things was they do want it to put it out there to trial it. So as I was talking to them, and we are looking for obviously ways to bolster our ability to have alternative education or meet kids' needs when the traditional classroom is leaving a gap there. And this, I made a connection immediately and thought might be a great tool. So we started to look into it as a group, and we've been meeting with Brittany Walls from CISA 5, and then Mia Schmiel from CISA 9, who got involved with this as well. And we were brought into this consortium to try this pilot. So we will be able to purchase, I think we purchased around 91 seats, or will purchase 91 seats of Khanmigo at like a very discounted price to get it in there. And then we will work with CISA 9 representatives with some of our teachers in some of our classrooms to incorporate UDL practices and also incorporate any professional learning that they need to utilize this within their WIN groups or their groups where students are needing a little more intervention and things like that. So what Khanmigo is it's basically a learning tool that has an AI bot, an AI portion of it, where students can ask this program questions, and it's designed to not answer the question, but provide the information that the student needs, and then to follow it up with additional questions to help utilize that learning, bolster that learning, and apply that learning. And so it's a really neat concept. It's cutting edge right now. It's something that schools across our country are struggling to grasp. How are we going to utilize AI as a positive tool, and not something where students can go on and cheat their way through my class, or go on and just find quick answers without pulling the learning in. So Saul Khan, who is the developer of Khanmigo, has done a really good job of pulling this tool together and trying to harness that power in a productive way that can be used in classrooms. And they've piloted this in different schools. The one on 60 Minutes, when you watch it, is an Indiana school, I believe, where they actually took full classrooms. And the teacher's role is very much the same as it always is. But as you pull away and have that gradual release where students are working through challenges and problems, they have a built-in tutor to their program that's not just going to give them the answer, but has a wealth of knowledge in helping them obtain the information they need. So we're looking forward to getting this, to using it with some of our students that are struggling to see if it helps close the gap. And then part of the pilot will be us measuring those results and the growth in those students that have been a part of this to see, did we see more growth with them than we typically see? Was it helpful? And if a tool like this is going to be something that maybe we want to make an investment in the future as it becomes available. So we're excited about this. I'll keep the board up to speed. There's only 2 schools in our area right now that are part of this pilot. It'll be Mosinee and us. And then the other 13 schools, or 12 schools, I think, are in the southwestern part of the state. So, questions on that? I know there's a lot there. I will keep you updated if you watch the 60 Minutes episode and you have a question about it, please feel free to email me, but I'll get that out to you guys in the next day or 2. Thank you. Third thing I wanted to mention, staff and student survey typically takes place in April. It was brought up that we might want to think about moving that closer to our parent-teacher conferences in February. So I reached out to School Perceptions, and we are scheduled to have that available. We'll open it up on the 12th, which is the day before our showcase or our in-person open house parent-teacher conference. And then it'll run for 2 weekends and close on the 26th. So we've bumped that date up this year. Everything within the survey will be very similar to what we've done in the past so that we can continue to build that longitudinal data that we rely on for our scorecards and other measures. But we are adding a component to our student and our family surveys that dives into activities. So what activities are you involved in? What activities would you like to see? Are there any barriers that prevent you from participating in things that you would like to be a part of? And this is something that a lot of schools in our area are doing in some capacity or another, but it's just a brief couple, 2 or 3 questions that is will be built in, and it'll be a little different at different grade levels, obviously. So we'll have that component as well. Last thing, I just want to announce and excited to announce anytime we have a former student that returns to our district in any capacity, I think it's an exciting thing. So Serena Hankey will be, it was a 2020 graduate of Tomahawk High School, and she's returned and will be student teaching with Jeremy Belke for the 2nd semester in high school social studies. So we're happy to welcome her and happy to see her finish up her educational schooling here in Tomahawk. So thanks. Any questions on anything we threw out there tonight?
Any questions?
All right, thank you.
None? Okay. Next item is the consent agenda items. There's 6 or 7 of them on there. Most of it's typical minutes, that sort of stuff. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Long, so moved.
Second.
Blue, second.
Motion is second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion, changes? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Staff reports. Before Officer Sousa presents, any questions for the admin team?
I would just like to make a comment that I appreciate the fact you put that report together every month. I know it doesn't type itself, so I know that you folks put time and energy into that. 2 things I found really interesting, and all your reports are interesting, but 2 things I found interesting this month was in the elementary report, what the first grade goals, or excuse me, kindergarten goals and objectives, first grade objectives. I've been a long time away from first grade, and I can't remember what I was supposed to be learning in first grade, second grade. I thought it was really a nice insight into, what students are being asked to do, what their goals and objectives are at that early age in our education program. Because I think most of us really, in the end, don't understand what happens every day in the school. So thank you for doing that. I don't know if you're going to continue it, but I enjoyed that in your newsletter.
Yeah.
Okay. And I enjoyed the snapshots that were in the high school newsletter. It's always nice, again, it gives you some insight into what's happening in our district by seeing what's happening by department. And I also think it's a nice chance to showcase some of our excellent faculty members who write those vignettes about what's happening in their areas. So I appreciate that very much. I enjoyed reading them.
Thanks, Nick. Anyone else?
I just wanted to make a comment too, and I think the administrator staff is doing great work. And like Mark's comment about where they are now versus, ahead of the end of the year, and I mean at all building levels. It's inspiring and it just speaks of growth, which is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, Alderman Sousa.
All right. I really don't have too much information, which on my side of it, that is good as far as the law enforcement standpoint. Since we last met, I think we had one case of vandalism to school district property. That incident was referred to social services. We had a truancy issue that was where a citation was issued, and then we had another issue of staff members' vehicle being vandalized that was done by no one associated with the school district or a staff member. It was just a staff member's vehicle. So that issue has been investigated and is currently in the hands of the DA's office. Other than that, stuff that I enter into I know I've talked about our law enforcement database, and looking at the numbers, it was almost cut in half compared to what I reported to you guys back in November. So November would have covered like roughly September and October, and now would cover roughly November and December, and those numbers were cut in half. I'm still still making contacts with students and trying to build those relationships. I know Mrs. Woodall and I, back in November, we ended up having lunch with a bunch of third grade students that they used their pride points to have lunch with us. I mean, they could go pick out anything else in their pride store, and they choose to use their points to have lunch with us. And the same thing with the middle school. There was 2 students in November and December that chose to use their pride points to have donuts with me. And if anybody knows me, I will not pass up a donut. The kids, that still astonishes me. They always tease me about donuts, and when they're like, "Do you like donuts?" When I say I love donuts, I think that kind of they don't know how to respond. Because they think it's a joke to me, but it's not really a joke. I really do love donuts. So other than that, and then last week I attended the middle school dance, and there was no issues with that. Other than that, like I said, compared to the first 2 months, things are going really well.
Great. Any questions?
Any specific things you can attribute that drastic drop to?
Well, I mean, one thing is you got to look at, you got Thanksgiving break in there, you got Christmas break in there, but, to be honest, I mean, being in law enforcement for 18 years, I mean, this is kind of when we see that lull, even out in the community. So I can't say that attributes to what's happening in the school, because, they're here regardless. But, it's just, that's what and I know when I went and talked with Colleen earlier today, I'm like, this is weird. The numbers are just so much different compared to, and I didn't even know it until I pulled them up, so yeah.
Is there any drop in attendance? I know in all of the reports it was talking about the attendance, how it's maintained and why it's important to maintain attendance. Is there a drop in attendance over the last couple of months? Or do you think attendance is about the same?
like we've had more illnesses, which is this time of year, so
Mhm.
there is probably a few more students who are gone because of that, but
Okay.
nothing that,
Nothing,
Nothing
no,
significant.
nothing remarkable.
significant at all, not that I can report anyway.
Okay, I was just wondering if there's a drop, because I know there's been a lot of stuff circulating out there.
I think it's been pretty consistent even at the high school level. I think the high school level's been, I don't think it's like drastically changed here now that it's winter. I think it's just been consistent.
Okay. Middle school the same,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
change.
I would say just seasonal illness
Okay.
stuff, but I mean, looking at attendance letter spreadsheet stuff that we have to send out, like 5 and 10 day letters, where, I mean, I wouldn't,
Nothing's-
nothing would be striking about it
Okay.
at all.
Okay,
Looking at the variables.
anything else? Thank you,
Great, thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, girls wrestling, Ryan.
All right, so I'm coming before you guys tonight, with a proposal I submitted, looking for increased funding into my budget to support girls wrestling program and WIA affiliated girls wrestling program here at the high school for the starting in the 25-26 season. Kind of laid out where the money is at and what kind of looking for to get added. Just gonna give you guys quick the rationale for it is the sport of girls wrestling in the state of Wisconsin is blowing up. Every corner of the state, it's popping up everywhere. If you look 2 years ago when the girls were first affiliated WIA individually, there's about 600 registered wrestlers in the state. And then last year with the first ever girls state tournament in conjunction with boys individual state tournament, it went up to 1,500, and this year it's gone up even more. Obviously, those numbers will come at the end of the season when we have to submit our participation numbers for the year to the WIA. With that being said, here in our district alone, last year we started off with around 18, 19 girls out for the program. We finished the year with 14. The girls had a really good experience with it, and this year we came in and all of a sudden it jumped up. We had 32 girls out for the wrestling program. We were currently sitting at 28. We had 2 of them get on the mat and kind of realize this isn't for them and just want to be managers of the team, and then 2 others, yep, this isn't for me, I can do it. With an increase in girls wrestlers, we've also seen a jump in our boys wrestlers on the boys wrestling side just because of honestly the talk of the program, and this is the place to be. So the boys actually jumped up. They're averaging around 20 kids over the last few years. They're up around 30 boys again. So we went to 60 kids in the program and with 2 paid head coaches currently. If you look at our strategic plan that we put forth and what we're looking to do for the school, we want to increase our participation of all kids in all activities across the board. We're currently sitting at about 68% of the high school students alone participate in one activity, and that's not just sports, but that is also like our FBLAs, our FCCLAs, our drama, and those items. If you look at girls wrestling alone this year, we have 8 girls that this is the only thing they're involved in the school that came out for wrestling. Some of them it's the first time being involved in anything. There's 3 other individuals that joined the wrestling program this year that were involved in activities, but this is the first sport they did. And we also have 1 girl that's actually dual sporting in basketball and wrestling because she wanted to try wrestling, but she played basketball her whole life, and the coach has been working really good with getting her able to go wrestle in some meets, but also participate in the basketball program for the year. So it's just really blowing up. If we're looking at the future where this is going WIA wise, it's in the report, but the big thing is by February 1st, we have to declare for next year if we're gonna be a standalone girls wrestling program. The reason for that is after this year, the girls can no longer wrestle on the boys side at all. If you're a declared girls program, they have to wrestle girls. If we don't declare as a girls program, they can still wrestle on the boys side, but they're no longer allowed to enter the WIA tournament on the girls side next year. The WIA is really trying to force schools' hands to have a girls wrestling program so they can continue to build the sport. The tournament series separated from the boys more and more. So that's kind of what we're running into. And that's why I'm in front of you right now asking for increased funding for my budget so we can fully support this program through the school and not rely on community groups to fundraise and do this because it really is not going to go away. There's a very strong contingent that does want this and wants to maintain the school. Only other aspect touch on before I open any questions for you guys, for me on it, is looking at, we're gonna run this, talking with the wrestling program, we're gonna run this like a co-ed program, like we do for cross country and track. So the structure of the coaching staff for them would be one head coach, increase some more assistants under them, since we have 60 kids involved in wrestling right now. We have 2 paid coaches on staff for 60 kids. If you look at our track program is similar numbers. There were 6 paid coaches on that staff. Cross country, you're down around 40 kids, but 2 paid coaches, 1 position split just due to time. So that's where we're looking how to run this structurally, is head coach and 2 assistants. That way, if we do run the course where we're splitting away and one has to go one way and the other, we're at least now having 2 paid coaches for district, our district employees traveling with the team, instead of taking our 2 paid and splitting one way and one the other right now, and volunteers. So that's kind of the proposal in front of you. Open for questions and
Ryan, could you go through those dates again, those deadline dates, and
Yep.
And the only reason I'm asking, I am 100% in favor of this, but we have a referendum coming up February 18th.
Yep.
And so to me, it's like, ooh, is the timing of this?
So for the WIA, we do have to declare by February 1st. With that being said, we could declare we're a girls wrestling program and continue to reevaluate it and stuff and get it through. But if we don't declare by February 1st, then the window passes, because they start setting up their tournament series and what schools declare girls, how they're gonna break them into sectionals, how they're gonna even out the path to get to state. And then also next year, they're adding the team wrestling aspect. Like right now, the girls is just an individual tournament. Next year, based on how many schools declare that they have a girls team, is going to impact the team aspect of how they set up the team tournament for these guys. So they have a chance. If how wrestling works, in you wrestle individually at regionals, you accrue the most points individually, you win it. You go to sectionals, you wrestle team duels, which is you versus someone else, where that's a real part of the sport where you set the lineup. And then if you win that sectional, you go down to state, and the same thing, it's a dual format at state, where the individual success does not necessarily determine the team success. So, but February 1st is our declaration date for this year.
Anyone else? Okay.
Are there any liability issues related to female athlete care and protection in locker rooms? I mean, do we need a female? Is the WA mandating a female coach at all times? Do you see any additional, female athletes hurt on the mat?
Nope, I was an athletic trainer for years. I mean, you have protocols on how you evaluate in this, and in our, actually just in our coaching staff right now, multiple of our female sports are all male coaching staff. One thing we do ask as a district is there's locker room supervision. Now, they can't directly be in the locker room, but it's a requirement for them to be outside the locker room if anything happens, so there's a adult available. In terms of if, let's just say we have an injury of some sort, female-wise, and as a male, even as an athletic trainer, when I'd evaluate them, I'd always either have another coach in the room with me while I was evaluating, or if it's a head injury case, I would ask that a teammate's in the locker room with them, so that way if something were to occur, the teammate can come and get the adults and get us in the locker room and make sure everything's hunky-dory. So
you'll just be conveying those thoughts and ideas to our...
And even on the bus right now, because we travel on a bus with the boys and girls, the wrestling coaches sit in the middle, girls in the front half, boys in the back half. We are very open about talking about these precautions and making sure we don't have any issues that way. So.
Yeah. Primarily interested in the liability and the student health.
All covered. We'll be good that way. Yep.
I think, as Ryan said, like, we already have this situation with cross country and track. So those things have always come up. And
even our girls basketball program is all male staff. Our softball program is all male staff. Now we have a couple female volunteers, at least for softball, that are with, and makes it a little easier. But in terms of our paid coaches, it's all males for those 2 sports.
I only surface because it's such a contact sport. I mean, you can pop a shoulder, you can, easy.
Well, evaluate them all the same. Yep. So.
It's just like girls hockey too, the chance of injuries and stuff.
Anyone else? Okay, I got one thing that has been considered, that my experience with coaching in the past, and Dick would know this too, and probably the rest of us, is you have to build a program. Okay, right now we're looking at high school, but what's going to happen in the middle school, elementary, whatever, to build the program so it can sustain
already have
itself.
They already have it going.
Middle school
We
has
have-
8 girls
We
wrestling
have
right now.
girls in
Okay.
the
Which is
middle
more than we
school,
have in girls
elementary
basketball,
school.
too. And then at the youth level, it was like that all the way through youth. You sign up and Coach Guru runs the youth program, so when we promote that, you wanna try girls wrestling at the youth level, you're here, we're gonna coach you. In terms of middle school, it's a little different, physicality wise at that age because, maturation period and stuff, so a lot of times at the middle school level, if you go to a middle school meet, you'll see a female wrestler that's out there that's cleaning house on the mat versus the male counterparts actually. So,
Okay,
yeah, so
okay, but just, if we go that route, I think we need to be looking at building the program, not just saying, okay, here we are and that's it. And I guess the last thing I would say is there's no way in HDLL that the reason the boys have increased the population is because the girls are out for wrestling. That's what I think. Okay, anyone
That's
else?
my first thought too.
I can't think of her name.
Huh?
Who was
That
the
was my
one
first
who
thought.
went to
Alyssa.
Alyssa?
Alyssa's actually up coaching this year.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if she
Yep.
was involved in the program
And
and all that.
we actually have 2 former hedge wrestlers, females that wrestle on the boys side, helping this year as volunteers. Actually, one was wrestled the girls side last year, but Alyssa's back in town right now, so Alyssa's been helping out with the girls, and it's been a really positive experience for them, seeing someone that went out and was a world champion on world stage, world medals, right?
Yeah.
And then Sarah Kubota, who graduated, I believe around like 15, 16, somewhere in there. She wrestled on the boys side, but she was also in a weight class, it wasn't always gonna beat the boy in her weight class, but she actually placed, when she was stewing out in Fargo, which is a big national tournament in the summer and things like that, so, and Sarah's around town, so we actually do have 2 female wrestling experienced people that are in the program right now that hopefully, if this works out the way it does, that we can keep them around for the girls, but we'll see how that plays out. I can't promise anything on that.
So the girls have something to look up to and see what they can do.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So you're asking for both the approval of the additional budget money and the approval to submit that we're going to do this. My question's for you, what happens if?
Well, I guess I look at it 2 ways. There's, when we look at the sheer number of kids, of girls, who, you mentioned 8 kids that are not currently involved in anything that are now involved in this. And when we talk about not just our athletic programs, but anything that's co-curricular, anything outside of your regular school day that a student is involved in, we know the value add in that, both in their learning and whatever. So
Absolutely.
I tend to look at this and say, the world doesn't stop because we've got February 18th on the docket. I think we'd be very well served to support this, given the number of kids that are there versus not. And if we have to make difficult decisions down the road, I mean, we look at all of our programming, and right now this is probably one of the more popular sports that we have. So I support it. Ryan and I have spent a lot of time over the past few months looking at this. I think he's done a really, really nice job, not just vetting this as far as how it's going to positively impact our school, but also looking at what does other coaches feel about it, giving them opportunity to provide feedback. Anytime you add a sport, especially when we have as many offerings as we do, there's a lot of really good things there, but there's also going to be some probably pretty strong emotions and opinions in other places. I think most of what you got back was pretty positive or silent in many cases, where people just didn't throw an opinion in the ring. So so this is something I want to commend you, because you really did a thorough job of looking at this from multiple angles. The detail that he put into what the estimated cost is usually on the high side, right? He's not, it's not going to be estimated low. The money's there. It's not a huge investment on our district to provide this as an opportunity for, I think, what we're getting out of it. So yeah, I commend you. I commend Coach Guru for the work that he's done and his whole coaching staff in making this something that people are passionate about, and that gets kids that currently aren't doing anything involved in our school in a different capacity. So yeah, I think that's a good point of pride.
How many of the schools have this program right now?
So that, with this estimate, this is looking at what we've had to do right now to find programs that are similar size numbers to compete. as this goes on over the years and as we build this, because we're kind of the front runner. If you go on the wrestling websites, they talk about Tomahawk's program, the numbers, and compared to other, and it's just geographically for us, going to keep doing this. Currently in our area, Lakeland actually this year jumped up. They have about 15 girls, so it's kind of coming on Lakeland. The other GNC schools currently all average around anywhere from 2 to 6, depending on the school. But then if you look to our neighbors to the south, Merrill really went all in on this year. I actually do skin fold testing for wrestling. They had 20 plus girls out for Merrill this year, where last year I think I did like 6 of them down there. And then Wausau West actually has a really big, strong program that they're building, points coming on. So as this goes after this date and we see the dust settle, realistically, these bus trips we took to St. Croix Falls this year and going to Eau Claire North, like going to find these bigger teams to get matches, our area is going to condense. And we're going to be able to find stuff closer where we can just pick one over the holiday, one other maybe random weekend to go see competition. But we're really going to be able to look at increasing the amount of matches we have locally, which also would save money in the long run with this.
I think it provides a nice alternative for girls during the winter sports season. It currently doesn't exist for them, so. And the dollar figure is
Minimum.
very low in relationship to it.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you guys. I apologize, I'm gonna peel up because obviously we got some conference rivals in town tonight that we gotta go watch, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Wait, they're supposed to be pink, isn't it? If you're going to the hockey game, where's your pink? Oh, you are.
Supporting girls basketball versus.
Oh, okay, just checking.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion then to approve the addition of WA girls wrestling to our list of athletic programs for 25-26.
I'll second, Calvin second.
Motion is second to approve the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consider the RVA contract renewal.
Okay.
Comments on that?
Yeah, so a year ago at this time, we came to the board with a proposal to become a trial member with RVA to see how that would fit within our district and what we're currently doing. So we've gone through this process with them. We've utilized RVA in a number of different capacities. I won't say that we've utilized it to its full capacity. We have a lot of learning and developing to do within our own system here before that would become the case. But it did fill a void in many areas where we had one, whether it was alternative education or whether it was a situation where a student maybe for whatever the reason, discipline or otherwise, just couldn't be here, and it was a way to maintain their education and move them forward. But it's been a useful tool for us as we've moved forward with it. And Charlie Hackle's been a great partner, and so we were in touch recently, and we are extending the offer now to become an invested member, which has some additional perks, obviously with enrollment, but it also has some additional perks with the funding piece of this. So currently, I think we are paying around $9,000 per student that attends RVA. We get $11,000 roughly for each student in state funding. So we did save a little money on the front end by all the students that we currently have, having them be part of Tomahawk RVA. Now that would become an actual entity within our system, we would move away from that and pay basically a tuition cost for a student. So a full-time student with RVA would be somewhere between $4,000 and $4,500. Conservatively, $4,500. Probably come in a little less than that, but that would recoup obviously much more of that piece, and they would still be a Tomahawk student. So this is a 5-year commitment for us. However, there are outs. If it's not working, if we don't feel that, and this doesn't cost us anything up front. This is essentially the kids that are going to RVA. I want to say we had about 10 of them, 10 or 11, that were going to RVA regardless if we became a trial member or an invested member, et cetera. So we've saved some money there. This obviously would recoup more of the cost. So there's no upfront money on our end. It's just simply the kids that go, we pay a tuition. We get a reduced rate for that because we are part of that consortium. I think when talking with Charlie, if we do want out at some point, we just have to let them know the year prior, and then we would be able to get out of that commitment.
Any questions?
Do we have objective measures in place to determine how successful our students are in an RBA environment?
So currently, they're different environments, right? So it's not objective in a comparison
Right.
per se, but we will have obviously our testing scores. That will be something we can look at, both local testing scores as well as the state testing scores. That will give us some of that information.
Just because it's a 5-year period, and therefore we should be able at the end of 5 years to see a student who began their progress over a 5-year period.
Yeah.
To determine the
yeah,
determine the value and the
their
quality.
growth. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Anything else? Okay, then entertain a motion to approve the 5-year membership agreement with RVA.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second, excuse me.
Motion is second to approve the 5-year, become the 5-year invested member agreement with RVA. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, number of regular education, special education spaces.
So this is just a formality each year. We bring this in February. You'll see that we always have unlimited restrictions, no restrictions whatsoever on regular ed students who want to open enroll into our district. We do restrict special education in certain grade levels and areas based on caseloads and the services that we have currently available. Then you'll see that reflected there in John's report that he put in there.
Any questions? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the open enrollment limits for 25-26.
I so move Blue.
Second?
Second, Swente.
Okay, motion is second to approve the motion as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Update on the teacher professional development.
So turn it over to Mark, who's been doing taking the lead on planning this day, along with the rest of the admin team, obviously. But we have quite a few things you'll see planned for the 17th.
So you're going to see actually a pretty open schedule for it. There's a couple things that are scheduled all day, these are wellness things that we do every winter. You'll see the Convigo pilot on there right away in the morning. That goes all day. That's for the 91 teachers, the teachers that are servicing the 91 students in that Convigo pilot.
As well as what, 20-ish that are coming from outside districts as well, just to learn more about the program.
CISA 5 and CISA 9 are doing that jointly. So they're going to come in here and we're going to host everybody in that venture. At 7:45, it's kind of exciting. 3 middle school teachers attended SLATE. SLATE is a technology conference. They're going to present on artificial intelligence and SLATE, what they learned at that conference, to any of the staff members that are welcome. We left that time wide open, so staff members, if they choose, they can go attend that one. We're encouraging it. But there are some other ones. That's why you'll see 2 buildings that are optional, because there are some meetings that are going on at that time also, so that's why it says optional. If you're not doing anything, you're welcome to participate, but if you have something going on, obviously there's that situation. Elementary has an MLSS meeting. That's a big MLSS time for the elementary. A lot of things moving there right now. I give all my copies away, so I'm going by memory. In the afternoon, the elementary, I'm good now, I got it all. The elementary, we have the next series of our Act 20 training, which is on phonics. So it's a big long one on this one, because phonics is kind of one of the biggest changes that we have that's coming at us that Act 20 is forcing. This is that 1.5-year training that we talked about probably at the end of last year. Teachers have received it very well. They've been very energetic through it, and I'm working with some 4KK teachers. On the back is where I really want to draw your attention. So there's a lot of open time on this, and we're encouraging planning. We're encouraging working collaboratively with your colleague. We're encouraging working through some of the curricular pieces. We have these long-range planning things that are going on all year long. And what we're doing is we're just reminding them, hey, these things are out there, but also you'll see an AI section on there where we're just giving them time to explore, because that's something teachers just don't have, is the ability to sit there for an hour and just play with something. And the way we move forward is we give them that time. So as an admin team, we talked about just doing that and really trying to focus in and give them that time that's necessary to do that.
Okay, anything else, Mark? Any questions? Okay, there's no action needed on this, so appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the teacher curriculum rate increase. Wendell?
So a couple things sort of sparked this in my mind. One, talking with some other superintendents recently, we are falling a little bit behind in what we offer our staff who actually take on the role of writing curriculum, putting lesson plans together outside of the school day, whether it's developing a class in the summertime or whether it's, just doing the research that is needed to put into something like that. And traditionally, we had paid them $19 an hour. We called curriculum rate, it was $19 an hour, and that included people that maybe in the summertime we sent to just a professional learning seminar or something of that capacity. And I thought there needed to be a difference between a staff member who outside of their contracted time attends something that is simply an informational session that they're gonna maybe better themselves as an educator and have some good sound professional learning. But that's a lot different than putting the work into designing and writing the curriculum for a class. And I thought there needed to be maybe a little more incentive in the pay to reward staff who wanted to take that on. So the proposal would be looking at curriculum writing pay as $27 an hour and leaving that other rate, reclassifying that as professional learning time, and we would keep that $19 an hour. Now, when we look at this as a whole, it's not a huge expense. We don't have, and we're pretty leery as an admin team before we grant curriculum pay. It's obviously something that either is definitely needed, like we looked at Act 20 and a lot of the work that went into redesigning classes. That would have certainly fallen into this category, but that would have been probably one of the bigger initiatives that we offer curriculum pay that I can recall in my time here. Typically, you're gonna look at, it's a few teachers here and there that maybe are actually doing real curriculum work. Most of the stuff that we offer pay for outside of the school contracted time is professional learning time, to be quite honest. So,
Is this approved by you or by the building principal?
well, it would ultimately land on my desk, but
Okay.
it would go, I think, from the initial would be building principal, but ultimately it would go through Mark if it's curriculum rate, and he would look at that. So it would be both pieces there, and he has a section in his budget that has a set amount that he can allot for this type of thing each year.
Last summer, we had 3.
Yeah.
And of those 3, only one of them actually ended up executing all the way through. And it's just, things come up in the summer. So that's the flexibility.
Which we would like to see more of, and hopefully if we increase the incentive to do that, we would have more teachers engaging in that type of thing as well.
Okay, any questions? Okay, then entertain a motion to approve the increase to the curriculum rate of pay to 27 per hour.
So move, Swante.
Second.
Second, Kirsch.
Motion is second to approve the motion as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. School board election update.
Okay, so the deadline for filed paperwork for notice of candidacy came and went on January 7th. Dick has filed his paperwork and said this will be the last year, his last term on the board, so he will be done in April, completing your 10th year, correct? 10 years on the board.
Yeah.
2015, I think we looked at, so thank
Plus
you.
the previous board experience.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much for
welcome.
everything you've done for this district and representing.
Yeah. As you know, I've been dealing with some health issues, and I'm just to the point where I'm not feeling that it's good for me to continue on.
Anne has filed her paperwork for candidacy, so she will run unopposed in the areas representing King, Harrison, Nokomis, Wilson, and Little Rice. And I'm always going to put those on there so we start to get them to stick in her. I think we need to number them. We were talking today, 1, 2, and 3 or something like that. But we do have a candidate for the areas of Bradley, Birch, Scandalon, Rock Falls, and the town of Tomahawk, which is Steve Heinrich. So Steve is, I think they're longtime residents. He's a retired educator himself. So he has filed notice of candidacy and will appear on the ballot for that area. And we will have one open seat to represent the city of Tomahawk, which would be a write-in candidate. So if there are people you want to encourage to run, obviously this will be something I'll talk about on the radio and try to get the word out. But anybody that lives in the city that would be interested in serving on the board, I think we can help them out and how to navigate that. So.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay, next items are several different things, but approving number of policies, second readings and so forth. First one is approve the second reading of policy 5610.03. Any comments or anything, Kay or Ann, on this one?
No, it's just a formality. It was a new policy last month, and we just have to do a second reading on that.
Okay, and entertain a motion to approve the second reading.
I so move. Huseby.
Second.
Swente, second.
Motion second to approve the second reading of policy 5610.03. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the first reading of the following policies, and there's 3 of them as listed. Any comments on these? Ann? Okay.
Deb was there too.
Anybody else,
No,
Deb?
new ones, 3 new ones there that we looked at. The transportation one is combining a couple of them, but the other 2 are new. So
The other 2 are actually the same policy, 3120.02 and 4120.02. They just deal with different populations within our
the professional staff and the support staff,
yeah.
Okay.
the exact same.
Okay, any questions? Entertain a motion to approve the first reading of those policies.
So moved, Kirsch.
Second?
Long, second.
Motion is second to approve the first reading of the 3 policies as listed. Any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is approve the revision of the following policies, and there's a number of them. Anything there we need to be aware of?
No, some of these we didn't have any choice in, and some we're just updating them, and we got through the batch. Is what I'm gonna say. You know, some were deleted in there too.
Okay. Then I entertain a motion to approve the policies as listed, the revisions to following policies.
Long, so moved.
Second?
Second, Baloo.
Okay, motion is second to approve the revisions to the following policies as listed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And just a FYI, we have a meeting for policies tomorrow, so there's another batch coming out. How's that?
Yeah.
Never ends.
I give you guys all the credit, more than I would be willing to do. Thank you. Okay, the 25-26 WASB resolutions. Wendell?
So I attached a copy of the resolutions. I think I emailed it in one of my weekly reports to you, and then I attached it here as well and provided you just some of my thoughts on those as well. We don't need action on this, but I thought if anybody had any opinions or whatever, that we can send and fill a toolbox for Ann as she goes to the ever-riveting WASB.
It doesn't look like there's a lot there
No.
compared to other years. I mean,
Well, the year that Deb went, it was pretty extensive.
Don't forget the virtual
Well, the
year.
virtual.
Over 400 participants that didn't know how to work the technology.
So, but these are pretty straightforward for the most part, and things that have been they're either things that are pretty much a stretch, whether or not they're ever going to be taken up at the state level, or they're just being put in as a something to bring some notice and acknowledgement to. And there's other things that I think are just pretty straightforward. So.
Okay.
You sure you didn't want to do it then?
I didn't have any problem doing it last year. I thought it was kind of interesting, to be honest. But my experience was a little different than what Deb had.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we're supporting, except for that 2511.
And that was just my thoughts on it, but yeah,
Yep.
I would have some reservations on 2511.
I think it depends.
Based on the
Every
language.
school district's different on that one.
Yeah. You know, if it's worded a little different than what they're doing, but I think, to just create a fund in the state that will cover any and all school lunch debt is a dangerous message to send. Unless you're just gonna say, we're gonna pay for school lunch, you know, and then just make that commitment, but.
Okay, public comment, any public comment this evening?
I'm gonna speak on behalf of somebody that approached me. I'm questioning, if we can move the public comment to the front of the meeting again.
Okay,
Just relaying information.
okay. I just thought.
As I understand it though, the only public comment that's legitimate is what's on the agenda.
Right.
Therefore, it's appropriate to have it at the end, because then the public can make a comment regarding the discussion of the board.
Well, the agenda is printed and they can speak to what's on the agenda, and I think.
I disagree. They should hear
I'm just relaying.
Yep. They should hear the dialogue and comments of the board.
My only rebuttal to that, Dick, would be that if a community member sees an agenda item that they want to comment on before the board meeting, then, you know, then they don't necessarily have an opportunity to make their opinion known before we get to a discussion.
Correct.
So I'm in support of
I would agree.
So I would rather see it at the beginning and or both.
And or both, I would agree with that.
In the past, we've done it both ways. We've had it at the beginning and the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
two before.
Okay. All right, well, we'll take a look at it.
Thank you.
Board referrals? Any board referrals? Hearing none? Okay, last item then is to go into closed session. So entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Long, so.
Second?
Kissinger, Wolf, second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please, Glenn.
Long,
Yes.
Kissinger Wolf,
Yes.
Swinton,
Yes.
Baloo. Yes. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Calhoun,
Yes.
Yuki,
Yes.
Kirsch.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Now you can see, Mark, what you missed.
Stay warm.